All right. What is going on, everybody? One of the best times of year is back. Fantasy fishing is back. It's kicking off the year. The first Bassmaster Elite event of 2023, kicking off at Lake Okeechobee. Been a minute since we've seen, I think, the Elites go back to Okeechobee. I want to say 2017. But before we get into the event itself, we got the familiar Serious Angler crew, but we have some friendly faces joining us here, not only for tonight, but joining us for the duration of the season. We'll kick it off here with our Serious Angler crew. Me speaking here, Bailey Egbrett, the host of Serious Angler. And to my right is the captain, Mr. Andy Full. And I should say, to my right. Technically, to my left. But to my left here, Mr. Adam Deacon, host of Business from the Bass Boat. And we'll let the folks at the bottom here introduce themselves. We'll start off with you, Brendan. Go ahead.
My name is Brennan. Hey, thanks for having me.
My name's Brennan.
My name is Brennan. I'm an Iowa native here of the cold north, and I'm looking forward to playing some fantasy fishing with you guys and hopefully throwing out some good pick suggestions.
Heck yeah. I don't know why when you said, hey, I'm Brendan, I had a flashback to
something from Step Brothers?
Yeah.
There you go. Okay.
When he was on stage, he was, my main man, Brendan.
There's nothing you're going to say about Step Brothers that I haven't heard 1,000 times. So just,
I'm sure.
It's my life, man.
Oh, that's funny.
That's good.
All right. And last but not least, at the bottom left here, Mr. Alpha himself. Jake, introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Jake from State Farm. That's right.
Well,
Oh,
that's how this year's
like,
going to go.
Just like Brennan.
Brennan.
Yeah, I am a fantasy fishing rookie, and I think that I was picked because you guys are going to beat up on me all year because I've never done fantasy anything, never fantasy football, none of it. So
No way.
yeah,
This
no,
would be
never.
fun.
How have you resisted?
I should have known what I was getting myself into.
Rookies always win fantasy. That's like
Yeah.
the law. That's just how it goes. So I think you just can just ride out the year. You're good.
It's true.
You got some good insider info too with being tight with Brandon.
I know. The problem with him is he's so like, I don't know him catching him. I caught like 14 4-pounders today. I'm not sure practice was worth anything. You're like, whatever, dude.
It's 14.
That's my life.
Yeah.
Well, Deacon, I know this is one of your favorite parts of the year as well. Big fantasy fishing fan. Any comments or anything before we start diving into today's show? Any outlook for the year?
No, man, I'm excited. I'm really excited with the Elites schedule this year. I think I've got some places like this, right, where they haven't been in a very long time and new places. And it just is exciting to me to start it somewhere else other than the St. John's, right? So excited to talk other places.
Heck yeah. Andy, any additional thoughts before we start laying things out here?
I would say the same thing. I'm actually looking forward to like Seminole and was it Murray is another lake they're going to later on. Like I'm excited for those because we don't know. So we're all going to have equal chance at those ones for sure.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know about equal chance.
I was going to say, you say equal.
We're all equals. All right. We all stink at this.
This is a
Bailey.
capitalist country. We are battling here. This is equal.
Yeah.
Equal.
Andy, you say besides me, but technically last year I got last, even though
I know.
points wise, yeah. So it was to lay things out for everybody. This
If
year,
you haven't heard this,
That's why I said beside you because
every
you
episode.
won like traditional scoring, but in our golf scoring, you came in 4th out of 4. So it's kind of funny how that worked. But
Who had the highest percentage in fantasy and Drain the Lake last year? Like according to the dashboard of fantasy fishing.
Bailey.
and I got last in our group.
Okay. What was the percentage?
It was like it was over 95. I don't remember.
I was in 90s.
Okay, that's solid. Solid.
Well, regardless, so what I was trying to say, we're going to lay this thing out this year in regards to, we're going to do it by the book in regards to fantasy fishing points. We have our own little private group now that we're going to have everybody in so we can track the points, do things not the golf scoring way, but we're still going to have some fun with this in regards to, we're going to do fantasy fishing and we're going to do Drain the Lake as well. We did not do Drain the Lake last year. And fantasy fishing, the winner of this year, our friend over at Drunkwood, Mr. John King, made a beautiful wooden crankbait trophy that says fantasy fishing on there. That is going, the winner's going to walk away with that trophy and immense bragging rights until next season. And then for Drain the Lake, we're going to be doing a cool bait package to the winner of that event. So for these shows going forward, we'll have fantasy fishing. We'll go through the picks, our predictions, and our good friend, Mr. Logan, who will be joining us tonight here, to give us a layout of what Okeechobee will be like. So we get a little Bassmaster Elite insider info of what the lake's looking like throughout practice. And once we go through fantasy fishing picks, we'll go through Drain the Lake, and that will be what the shows are going to look like for the year. But not only that, tonight we have some prizes available for you guys that are up for grabs. Each of us have our own little prize that we're going to be giving away. So make sure you guys are engaging, that you guys are getting your comments in, your predictions, who you're taking, who you might think might win AOI this year, because we have some Hobie shades up for grabs, Serious Angler hoodie, a hat from Do It Molds, a Alpha Angler hoodie, and a business from the Bass Boat. So a lot of cool stuff up for grabs tonight. Make sure you guys keep throwing things out there. We'll pick some winners, and we'll get you guys sent some cool gear. But fellas, should we start diving into the event of the year?
Sure. Bailey, your mic there was kind of doing some funky stuff.
Is
You
it?
may just want to reconnect, or it was just like, I don't know, going in and out for half a second. It wasn't horrible, but just an FYI.
I got you. Okay. Well, we'll start going around the room here. Deke, if you want to lead it off, what's your think? Any preconceived notions or predictions for Okeechobee?
Yeah, I mean, I think a great at least start to a breakdown of how you think guys are going to be catching them. We had the Invitational there, right, last week. So a lot of coverage, a lot of live coverage with everything with that. So I'm curious to see how much it changes, right? I mean, this time of the year, like things are changing quickly. So I'm curious to see how much it really changes, but like great starting areas for anglers to at least look at, right? Of where, I mean, during that, JT Kenny knows Okeechobee very well and was talking about areas, and I'm sure the guys down there that have been there kind of recognize stuff. So it's curious to see. That's all public information, right? I mean, it's all live fishing on the internet. So I'm curious to see how much of that plays a factor. To me, the chatterbait played extremely well there. Like, I guess it always does kind of around grass, but my gosh, I don't know how many of the top 10, but a bunch of them were throwing that thing. So I think your chatterbait guys, something that was surprised to me with, you always hear about Okeechobee having less grass and sprayed and this and that. Like, and I think that that's fairly true for the most part, but watching a guy like Brett Height find some offshore grass, man, and he's the best one of the best in the world at doing that. And he found some of that. And I think another guy did too during that. So curious to see how that stuff plays out and what stage of the, spawn, post spawn, where these fish will be.
Heck yeah. That was definitely a good mix of that. Andy, what do you think?
I'm going to say the same thing as Deacon with the chatterbait, but I think you're going to see some wacky worm guys catch them too. They usually do at Okeechobee really well. So you'll have guys catching spawners in reeds and stuff, but I don't know how many spawners there will be. There's no full moon this week. So the next full moon is March 7th, I think. So it's a couple weeks out.
Yeah, nice warming trend. And of course, they're getting hit with a subtle cold front this week. Not as bad as we're getting hit with in the Harris chain, which doesn't make much sense to me, but that's neither here or there. But yeah, I mean, Brian Latimer had a successful first 2 days. I know Okeechobee throwing a wacky rig. He took the finesse side of things.
Yep.
Brandon, what about you?
Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting tournament because I don't know how much sight fishing is really going to play as much as maybe we thought it was before all this wind hit the area. So I'm curious to hear and see if, we get the water clarity maybe we were anticipating going into the event. I'm sure there's still some of it out there, but maybe it's not going to play as well for those sight fishing guys like maybe it would have without the wind. So we'll see.
All right, Boomer, what do you think?
I think all three stages are probably going on. There was like Ty Au got 11th, I think, in that tournament last week, and he was throwing Senko like Latimer. There was a lot of those guys that were catching those fish that kind of pulled up. If you look at it, I think they've got like 3 cold nights in a row, but that stops tomorrow night. So if there are fish that want to push, I would think. I mean, it may not make the full moon, but I was just in Florida last week, and I think Thursday and Friday it was like 67. like by 9 o'clock, and then by like 1 or 2, it was 75 water temps. In the smaller lakes that we were on there was over 70. So I would think there's got to be a wave of those things that can't handle it.
Yeah.
I also think the tournaments that are kind of more blown out are the ones that it's not 100% sight fishing. It's that first wave of pre-spawners that get active. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, especially when you got them in all 3 stages right now. If a guy like Deacon mentioned, like a Brett Hite that found fish offshore, or on grass, submerged grass, etc., throwing a chatterbait like he usually does, and you could find a mix of pre-spawn and post-spawners fish coming at you every which way. That's kind of ideal in this situation. That's right. Yeah, for sure. It's going to be interesting to see a mix. We saw some comments coming in of the water's high, so there could be a chance where some people do some sneaky stuff like your John Cox or your Keith Poche, who's new. I should say new, back on the Elite Series this year. But it's going to be interesting. I don't know to a fullest extent of how Florida fish act when the cold fronts hit or any sort of dip. I don't know how major it has to be to shake things up, if that makes any sense. I know it goes. I'll pull up the weather here. Got the share screened. Let me see. Here we go. So we got tomorrow going to 80 degrees. I mean, it rises every day of the week until Friday being a nice balmy 90 degrees. Consistent winds for the most part until Saturday, where it drops 15 degrees from the high. But I think the key thing is it's the lower temps are actually higher than the previous days. So I don't know if that's going to affect them too much, but I think that the wind completely switching sides, like doing a full 180, might do something, at least specific areas for guys, especially being at Northeast at 15. That could definitely shake some things up. I don't know what you guys think about that.
I wouldn't like it. I wouldn't think that does anybody any good in that event. So, yeah, I don't like that.
Especially not.
I think the kicker too, though, is that their practice day yesterday was worthless because of the wind, and then today they had the post frontal after that wind. If you looked at the weights from the BPT that was going on at Kissimmee, I mean, I think 12 pounds was like top 20 or even, I don't know. It was pretty good weight. It was horrible fishing. I tried to watch the BPT. It was so boring because nobody was catching any fish. So practice is like a throw out, right? They're going to get one maybe baseline day tomorrow. So I think that the weather, somebody's going to be sitting on a group of them and they're going to like move up under their boats and blast them. That's what I would think. That guy that had the worst practice ever is going to win the tournament.
Yeah, a guy that just goes fun fishing on day one that doesn't really have a plan set in place.
Yeah, I also think based on the conditions of the lake, I understand it's high right now. I wonder how much local advantage that takes away. That's what I'm most curious to see. Some of these Florida guys, like a Scott Martin, guys of that caliber with that experience in that area. How important is that in this event when the lake's totally different?
Man, I think I go both ways on that, Brennan. I'm gonna probably disagree with you just because I think that a good portion, I don't know what percentage it would be, but of the Elite Series field has spent a good amount of time on Okeechobee. But with the changes in the grass, I mean, my thought process is if there are those sneaky backwater areas, how guys can get to. One of the guys in the Invitational was fishing a pond. JT Kenny knew exactly where it was and was like, oh, this is a pond that you can only access when the water's high. So I almost think maybe there are times like where that local advantage comes into play just because you're like, hey, this stuff normally doesn't play at all, but it can because the water's high. And I've known this because I've been here, but I don't know. Just thought.
I completely agree with you. I picked Scott Martin. So let's get that out there right away. But yeah, it will be.
Giving away your picks already?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, hang on. I got a log.
Spoiler alert.
All right. Well, before
I think he's like 80% owned too. It was like Group C.
Maybe, man, play the odds. Go down with everybody else.
That's right.
Well, yeah. If someone in that bucket does better than Scott, somebody's going to be making hay. That's for dang sure. But before we get into our picks, we have our Elite Series correspondent is what we'll call him for the season. Here tonight, joining us, Mr. Wes Logan. What's going on, buddy?
What's up, guys? How y'all?
What's up, man?
Good, man.
Doing good. Well, dude, I know you're in the heat of practice, and I know we talked about it on the show you're on of recent. But one, appreciate you joining us for the season, giving us a little insider information on to what the heck the lake is looking like that week. So if you could lay it out for us and the folks, dispose of whatever you'd like. You know, what are the conditions, how the lake go, and how's it fishing, that sort of deal.
Yeah, it's I mean, everybody knows it's pretty much a mud hole right now. I mean, you've got I would say there's 4 to 5 parking lots on the lakes, what I call them, because I mean, you can literally just pull up and you can almost walk across the boats between us and locals and shiner boats. And I mean, somebody may find some fish in some dirty water. If they do, they're going to blow the tournament away because they'll be all by themselves. But I mean, I just don't really see it happening. It's never happened before, so I really don't see it happening again. I think the interesting thing that's going to, it's no way to know until it happens, is if the same thing's going to happen to us as what happened with the invitational tournament where, they were kind of bad-mouthed and that practice was horrible, weather sucked, and then all of a sudden they rolled up and instead of catching 9 pounds, they caught 23. Now, the only thing about that is their weather was a lot worse than ours is right now, leading up to that, and they were coming up on a full moon. So it's almost like that terrible weather, rain and cold, kind of held all those fish back, and then their off day was real hot, the next day was real hot, and they just kind of flooded through there where, okay, they've already done that major push, so how many are – I mean, obviously Okeechobee's full of bass, but how many are left to just, kind of flood in those areas to where, 75 of the people catch them? I don't know if that's really going to be a thing or not. Could be. I don't really know. I'm not a huge Florida guy. I don't really know how those waves work. And I heard one of y'all mention earlier somebody may just swim up under somebody's boat, and I really think that's probably how it's going to go down.
So somebody's just going to run into him. It's just going to be whoever makes the right decision on day one. Nothing has practice to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think practice has got something to do with it because, I mean, you got to kind of, from my aspect of practice, like I need a bait that I've got some confidence in. I like to kind of know, like, hey, that's kind of what I'm looking for. Like, okay, that's set up the same way. I've gotten 3 or 4 different bites, kind of like a pattern, but a pattern within an area, I guess, kind of would be what from a practice standpoint. Do I care if I catch 5-pounders every time I get a bite? I mean, that would be nice, but it's unrealistic. So I mean, just kind of getting bites right now, I think, is a positive. I don't really think that it matters if they're 12 inches or 6 pounds right now, because I think you could catch either one on the same cast. Like there's nothing that makes it be good for a 6 and not for a 12-incher or vice versa. So that's the cool thing about Florida and down here, but it's also aggravating from our standpoint trying to dial something in with practice. And I mean, like y'all were talking about right before I got on, the weather it's so unpredictable down here. It's predictable, but you never know how bad it's going to affect them or lack thereof. So it's literally just get out there and kind of see what the day gives you and what's going on. But I will say yesterday was a complete waste of time. There's not many times where I've wasted 12 hours on a body of water, but I think yesterday was that day. Because when I tell you that it blew like unbelievable, and it never stopped. Like
fun.
There's you have no way to get out of it. And I mean, maybe some guys found some stuff yesterday. I mean, I caught a few, but was it random? Probably.
For sure.
I don't know, but from a fantasy standpoint, I mean, it's hard not to go with your traditional Florida guys. And I think this one more so than other ones that we've had in the past, like St. John's, because St. John's kind of sets up more as a river, and you had the guys that have done good there historically. Here, I think the Florida expertise, you would call it, I think it's going to come into play a lot more. Just with, maybe knowing a little something different, like a way to throw a bait or, you know, kind of what to look for a little bit different in a big crowd. I think that's going to be a big deal that, you know, somebody that's not from here goes in the area. It's like, yeah, I got some bites in here, but there's a difference in just somebody going in there getting some bites and a Florida guy or somebody that's really good down here knowing why he got the bites there. And if they decide to move where they're going to move to, or, you know, if they were out here in the open where they're going to move to, like under some mats or something like that. So I think that's why I would go with the traditional Florida guys that do good down here. And not saying they're from Florida, but just historically have done very well down here.
I got a question for you, Wes. With how muddy everything is getting, is it gonna? I mean, it's Florida, right? Like there's always concentrations of anglers, but do you think it's gonna concentrate guys even more?
It'll be. I'm gonna go on a limb and say it's probably gonna be the worst that's ever been seen on Bassmaster Live of how many boats are on top of each other. Like it's
worse than Party Cove.
Bumper boats.
There's going to be 2 party coves. 3 party coves. Yeah.
Fun.
So I got a question, Wes. If that's the case, do you think it'll be the guy that has the fish rise up under him, or it'll be the guy that finds that clear water nobody else found?
Oh, there's a chance. I mean, somebody's going to find something. I mean, there's 100 and however many of us, and we're all. Well, I'm not going to put me in the category. They're all really good fishermen. Like, dude, they're going to, you know, not have to go to the most obvious stuff. Somebody's going to find something. I just don't know if you can find something way far back in an area that's got enough concentration for 4 days to win. Now, can you have a really good tournament? Absolutely, 100%. But just I think the thing about being on the lake and being, you know, close to one of those real community areas is the opportunity for a huge wave to pull up, and instead of catching, you know, solid 3 and 4, there's a chance to have 5, 6s like Weaver did on day 2. Like, it's just the opportunity is there for somebody, and all it takes is 5 casts. Like, I mean, and it can happen fast. I mean, I was watching live the other day, dude. He had 20 pounds in like 10 minutes. So, like, when you're around them and they're bite, like, it don't take no time at all. And I mean, that's going to happen again. Like, y'all are going to be watching live, and somebody's just going to be on Bass Track. You'll be like, God almighty, dude, he landed on them. And he may know they were there, and he may not. He may roll up and thought he was going to catch 10 pounds, and his first bite's a 7-pounder. Like, and I mean, when it's your time, it's your time. But I mean, that's how the whole tournament fishes, or it's gonna fish. I know it is. I mean, I've seen it. I've fished down here 2 or 3 times, and it's always been like that. I've never done great, but you just go into some areas where you got some bites and hope for the best. And I mean, I think that's what everybody's really going to do from the doc talk that I don't really listen to it, but, you know, I have some buddies that I talk to, and it's, you know, kind of the same consensus across the board, I think.
Right.
But somebody, I can assure you, there's somebody that knows what's going on. I mean, I'm not going to say no names, but somebody's got an idea of what to do to catch a better than average size bag consistently.
Right. Well, Wes, last question. We'll let you go. Appreciate your time, man. What do you think it's going to take a day to win?
On an average, I'd say 20, 21, 22.
Okay. Somebody's still getting up in that 80 to 85 range.
Oh yeah, it'll take around 80. It's not going to take less. I mean, they're just big ones live here, and I mean,
right.
We're going to have the weather for it to happen. Now, if the tournament would have been practice weather, I'd say 80 would probably be 80 would be a real high end of winning. But with the weather we're going to have, everything's going to calm down. The wind's going to shift around on us, but it's still going to be warm, like in the night. So, I mean, it's not really going to knock them in the head. So I think that's a safe bet. Gotcha. Cool. Well, Wes, seriously appreciate you joining on, especially during practice week. I know how focused you guys like to be, but seriously, it means a lot for you to join us here. Give us some insider info. I know the folks watching and listening at a later date certainly appreciate it, and we're all rooting for you this week, man. Yes, sir. I appreciate it, guys. Y'all have a good one.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah, knock them dead, dude.
We're going to try, buddy. Thank you.
See ya. Always good getting Wes on, and appreciate him joining on these shows. Hopefully gives you guys a little bit extra info, not just a bunch of jabronis on here talking fishing, but from somebody, baby. That's right. But somebody who's been on the lake that can give you some more insightful information beyond what our predictions might be. But Fellas, I think we should start getting into the picks here. Hey,
Sure.
Dude,
I'm a little nervous now after hearing that. I'm not
yeah,
gonna lie.
with Wes coming on, I mean, I think this is a game changer. Having that insight at the event in practice, like I know I'm gonna bite my tongue so bad. I'm gonna be like talking about how one thing is completely, and then literally it's gonna cut to Wes, and he's gonna be like, "Yeah, man, absolutely none of that."
You thought. Well, before we
Sorry, I'm like getting ready to change a couple picks before you start.
Oh, man.
I got Team Bass Pack in here saying I bet half of you guys are changing your picks.
Yeah, let me subtract 25 pounds from my weight prediction real quick.
Oh gosh.
Oh gosh, that's
Who was
good.
the one who went heavy all the time last year? Was it Bart? Bart always went heavy.
Yeah, he was optimistic, which I like. Look, I love people who are optimists, but like it wasn't even close to realistic. It'd be like 10, 12 pounds over every time.
Oh, I think for Pickwick, he said like 107, and I think it was like 68 and change.
Yeah, Pickwick, it's like 135 pounds. Just going absurd. But before we get into the picks, I'm gonna start my picks off for the show in regards to I'm picking Jack Hartzell to win a Serious Angler hoodie. With his comment saying, "Wes, you're my bucket E pick, positivity man in all caps. Don't make me change."
Let's
I love
it. Does Wes have positivity in?
No, that's why I love this comment. Wes can be positive. He's all show. I hope he's still listening right now because calling out. But Jack, congrats! You're going to win a Serious Angler hoodie. Get in touch with us. Send us your shirt size and address to send to, whether email or social media. We'll get that sent out to you. And guys, we still have Hobie Shades, a Do It Molds hat, Alpha Angler hoodie, and a Business from the Bass Boat hoodie up for grabs. So keep those comments coming. Appreciate everybody that's been engaging tonight. It's been awesome. And boys, let's start getting into our picks here. I did remove my picks to try to keep some suspense in here. I have it written down here. I'm not just going off what you guys are selecting, I promise. But let's bring it up right here. There we go. All right. So let's last year we started A to E. This year let's go E to A.
Oh.
Let's go around there. Boomer, you're the freshman on campus for the show. We're gonna kickstart it off with you. Who was your pick for bucket E?
Bryant Smith, Roseville, California.
What is there any reason beyond Bryant, or is it favoritism?
That might have something to do with it.
Well, yeah, he's my travel partner for the last 2 years, and I won't get long-winded at all my picks because we could be here all night. But I have this theory about rookies from the West Coast in California because every time Bryant and I went to Florida, we top 10, and I think it's a Florida thing with West Coast anglers. I don't know what it is, but Brett Height's a great example. You know what I mean? He won Okeechobee. Yeah, Lucas. And so, but what I like about him is the fact he's having a horrible practice. I think that's a big deal.
It's always like that.
He made a comment one time after a tournament that or practice day, he said something. He made a move to something just off the wall. And I said, "Why'd you do that?" And he goes, "Because I went 8 minutes without a bite and it upset me." It's like, what?
I love that.
It's like the best mindset in a bass tournament or bass fisherman I've ever seen. So Bryant Smith.
That's awesome.
And if he's watching, you better not suck, Bryant.
He's
He's probably laying in the back of his pickup truck right now. Like he's literally staying in the back of his truck. And I love that it's like a Polinick with the Tundra Sweets. He has no friends there. He's probably like barbecuing a hot dog and eating half a bag of salad. So I know he's watching.
In a bag.
That's right. He's only got one thing on his mind. So yeah, Brian.
I dig it. All right. Well, we'll keep going down the row here with Brennan. What's your pick?
Yes, sir. Bucket E for me. Nothing really jumped out at me that was super astonishing or got my heart rate up. I went with Justin Hamner on this one. If you look at his track record in Florida, it's actually really solid. I don't know the guy, but I think he's got a kind of a calm demeanor. Maybe I'm wrong. I think that sets up good for a Florida fisherman. Slow down, just kind of ice through the veins, fish slow, and grind it out. So I'm going with Justin Hamner and E.
Heck yeah. Andy?
Yeah, I'm taking low ball hating Wes. I just,
boy.
yeah, he has probably more experience at Okeechobee than probably anyone in Group E, I would think,
Mhm.
because he went there at the FLW tour too, didn't he?
Yeah, in the tour he had a good finish there. I had it pulled up a
What, like
second ago.
2016 or 2017 was the last time FLW
Yeah, they
went
were
there.
there in 17 and in 18, and he finished like somewhere decent. I want to say like close to a top 10, maybe.
Yeah,
I would
I'll take a top 30 or a top 40 out of my Group E to start the year. So I'm going with Wes.
I love that you just said Wes had a top 10 there before, and Wes is like, I never done good there before.
All right, not top 10. He finished 32nd
Yeah, I'll take
in-
that all day.
in
Out of my
I
group
read
here.
to you in 2018.
All right.
Give me that top 30-ish out of a Group E, and I'm happy.
There you go.
So, yeah.
Kickstart the year, especially a Group E pick for sure.
Yeah.
My Group E pick, I'm going with Steve Kennedy, who is a very 50-50 pick when it comes to fantasy.
Yeah.
But we got Brian Smith in here. That's part you called it, Boomer. That's awesome. Brian, good luck this week, buddy.
Brian!
He just wants a free sweatshirt, and he's not getting it.
I love it, man. You know he's sitting in his.
That's
Oh, this is
awesome.
great.
That's awesome. Well, I'm going Steve Kennedy for the reason, if you actually look at Steve Kennedy's history at Okeechobee, he always is top 30. I think his slowest finish is like 31st. He's had like a 12th, a 17th.
Okay.
For whatever the reason, the dude vibes with Okeechobee. Now that I picked him, he's probably going to suck. Sorry, Steve. But I'm riding with Steve the first pick.
Swim jigs too, though, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Swim jig fisherman, and the last tournament got one on the moving baits.
Yeah, the jig was they're eating it too. In that, I mean, a lot of guys were either a chatterbait or a jig.
Heck
It
yeah.
looked
The
like
dude knows how to swim stuff through the water column for real.
For sure.
a problem.
Deke, round us out for Group E.
Man, and not just because he's on here now. Maybe that's jinxing things, but I got Bryant Smith as well, man. The guy's a hammer on the Delta and has done fantastic fishing across the country. And man, they know how to read vegetation really well on the West Coast. And I know it's a little bit different with Florida and going slow and all this and that, but look for him to shock some people, I think.
So he says I called it. He can't resist Kennedy. Did I pick Kennedy a lot last year or something?
Yes.
Yeah,
You get
Steve
screwed.
Kennedy and Justin Atkins. Like, were your
I did
two
pick
top
Atkins a lot last year.
Oh my gosh. You're like, he's gonna
You got to ride with your confidence, man, whether it works or not.
Oh, man.
It didn't pan out great, but hey, it was a decent year. All right, let's get. Oh man, I missed this. I miss being back doing fantasy fishing shows. All right, Group D. Kick it off, Boomer.
Group D. Well, Brennan probably knows what this one is because I picked Welcher.
Cal Welcher. Any specific reason why?
I don't know why, but I think the dude's a machine. He actually didn't finish last year very strong. He had a couple ups and downs, and I think it really bothered him. I love that about bass anglers, but I do. I think I love that saying. I'll never forget that when he said that. He goes, "If I get on something, my favorite thing to do is go do something else." That's the best saying I've ever heard for a bass.
I love that.
So, yeah, I didn't look up any of his finishing. Brian's going to bed.
Yeah. The Silverado Suite is calling.
That's what he calls the Silverado Suites.
I love it.
Yep.
Brennan?
I think Welcher's a great pick. That one had my eye for sure. I think D, there's a couple good ones out here, a couple of good options. I went with something different though. I went with Josh Douglas. A lot of FLW experience here. He's not a hot pick in this bucket, under 1% owned, but I think he's kind of a sleeper. Honestly, when I play fantasy fishing, I'm just trying to kind of escape Florida alive. It's probably the toughest part of the season, at least to me. So I'm trying to escape it alive, but also put a pick out there that, might be able to gobble up some points against the rest of the field. So I'm going with the guy under 1% owned, Josh Douglas.
I love it. I love it.
Hey, don't you guys think the D is like the worst bucket for? It should be the E bucket.
Was my hardest bucket to choose.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
E, there's usually like one kind of shining star, diamond in the rough, and then D gets brutal. C, like there's a lot of like decent picks too. That gets tough.
And then A is hard, right?
A is the hardest maybe too.
Yeah.
They all are super hard.
A's just super stacked.
Yeah. Who are you going to swing with? Like, that's just not picking a person A that's going to crash. That's basically the challenge for A.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that pick though. I do like that Douglas pick. Andy, what about you?
I'm torn between two, and I keep going back and forth on it between Cliff Prince and John Cruz, because Cruz tends to do good in Florida. He's always good for a big fish or two, and I'm sure Cliff Prince has gone down there. I think he's actually had a couple good finishes there. So I keep going back and forth. I think I'm going to take Cliff Prince. I'm riding strong Florida this tournament just because it's Okeechobee. So I'm taking
locals.
Cliff Prince. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go right back behind you, Andy, and also pick Cliff Prince for the fact that, like Wes talking about, it's a mud hole right now, and I do think that having a little bit more experience than the rest of the field in regards to Florida. I mean, you guys seen it with St. John's River. Every time they go down there, he's basically a lock for top 20. And the guy, like Andy mentioned, he's had a great history on Okeechobee. He's done well there in the past several times. So I'm going to go with a little, regional bias here and take another Floridian with Cliff Prince. Deacon, what about you?
I dig it. I'm glad Andy didn't pick the same as me, but I looked at Cliff Prince. I also looked hard at Welcher, but my final pick was John Cruz. Man, I think the guy's just a killer and can slow down really well. He's a veteran, right? He's been here a long time. Tends to do well in Florida. And that's my pick for D.
Heck yeah. All right, moving on to Group C. Boomer, what you got?
I mailed it in. Went Scott Martin.
I have a feeling we have a consensus across the board at Scott Martin.
Lord.
Well, yeah, there's just no it's a good group, but that was my mail it in for local dominance pick.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not a big fan of local dominance a ton. I think the elites have proven that the last couple of years. A lot of locals are starting to win a little bit more, but there's a lot of bombs too. But
For sure.
I mailed that one in, and it's 67%. I mean, Kyle Welcher would tell me to take that bet because he's a gambler, right?
That's right.
For sure.
That's fair.
Brandon, what about you?
Yeah,
You mentioned Martin.
Yeah, I'm Scott Martin, dude. I mean, I have this kind of like 30% rule in my head that if the percent owned in a bucket is over 30%, like unless there's another angler in that bucket that I think is like a crazy dark horse, I might consider that. Otherwise, I'm taking that guy that's over 30%. In this case, we got a guy that's almost 70. So I'm not even going to think about it. I'm taking Scott Martin.
Mm-hmm. Andy, what about you?
Couldn't you argue though that Brian Schmidt is really good at grass fisheries in Florida?
For sure.
But
Yeah.
He's won there.
Yeah.
He's won there.
I know.
He also took second there in 2018.
Oh,
On
it's so hard to bet against Scott Martin, and this is another group that I constantly like flip back and forth on. And I'm gonna go Brian Schmidt because Scott Martin just loses way too many fish on trocar hooks. So I can't take Scott Martin.
Boom!
Yeah,
Andy with a boom roasted.
Oh, Andy.
I'm sorry. Like, it was painful last year.
Not a trocar guy, huh?
Yeah, no. It was
All right.
painful to watch him lose all those fish in Apopka.
That was so funny.
Yeah, and I just feel like the same thing's going to happen. Like, he's going to get a big one. It's going to come off because of
Hey, here's a question for everybody. I want to pose this question. We talked about like home field advantage. Lee Livesey, Lake Fork, Scott Martin, Lake Okeechobee. Do you have the same level of confidence you do with Lee Livesey at Lake Fork than you do Scott Martin on Okeechobee?
Absolutely not.
No.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Just because Florida's a different animal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, Lee's just fishing so good right now, man.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Scott Martin's just kind of been plagued with like bad stuff happening. And maybe it's because we get to see it all through his content. But I feel like that dude's just had like a lot of tough breaks, a lot of things not go his way. So we'll see.
You should probably get off those hooks. Just saying. Like I actually
also-
used trocar hooks at one point, and oh gosh, they're terrible.
I honestly think that if Scott Martin landed every fish that he lost, he would have won the Harris chain for sure.
Oh, 100%.
Oh,
because
yeah.
you saw several of those fish he had. They were some damn big uns.
Just
I mean, we felt for him. I mean,
Sorry.
that well, let's. put
This
it
you
out
guys
to
are
sea.
never going to be sponsored by Trocar. I'm just saying.
No.
Hey,
We're okay with that.
practice hooks. They can be your practice hook sponsor.
Practice
My
hooks.
house. I'm not like
perfect.
If you want a hook that doesn't catch fish, here's the hook for you.
there's some hooks that I don't have issues with theirs, but with that, how wide of a gap that makes into a fish's mouth, I just don't like how it punches a hole a lot of the time. To me,
Yeah, and let's just put it on the record here. That was not a dig at Scott. Scott is a very great angler. It's a
Yes.
dig at the hook. That's
Yeah.
all. Just
And they
the flipping
flex
hook.
like
The
they're
flipping
just
hook.
not.
That is the dig.
They're just not good hooks for the trocar flipping hook.
Yes,
I've used the drop shot hooks. I actually don't mind the drop shot hooks, but the flipping hook,
I agree.
stay away.
I like the drop shot.
So
Well, I am also once again picking the same thing as Andy here, but I'm going Brian Schmidt. Out of the pure fact that what we talked about earlier with Deacon mentioning there could be that grass bite where someone finds them wadded up, find some pre-spawners, find some post-spawners, get a mix of them, find a chatterbait bite. I think that screams Brian Schmidt. He's done so well here. Every time you have grass like Lake Okeechobee sets up, Brian Schmidt is going to be a player. You saw that with the Harris chain last year. Too much confidence riding on that guy to do well in this event. And his confidence is actually just kind of impressive. Like it's almost to a point where it's intimidating. So I'm riding with Brian Schmidt on this one as well. Deacon, what about you?
Man, the only thing that's I'm in this bucket, this is probably the clearest picture, right? I mean, to Brennan's point, in fantasy fishing, there is a legit thing, right? When it's a high percentage pick, most of the time it's going to favor you the vast majority of the time to go in that percentage. There's only two picks in my head, and it's the one we've been discussing, right? It's been Scott Martin or Brian Schmidt. My question to you guys, looking at the forecast, do we have a bunch of wind, or is the wind over and the water's muddy and all it's going to do is clear from now, or are we going to continue to have wind in practice and into the Derby?
Yeah, I mean, you saw it on the forecast.
yeah, I don't
Yeah,
think
it's
there's
supposed
going
to
to be a
slack
ton of wind.
Yeah, it looked like everything. I mean, like max was like 16, so I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's going to be overly windy.
Well,
Okay.
what I've learned so far in my few days fishing here in Florida is that it's very like New York, where if you see a weather prediction, chances are if you 180 that is what you're actually going to get. So who knows? Who knows what we're going to have? Honestly, I think showing that weather forecast is probably a waste of time because it'll change in like an hour when we get off this show.
Right.
Yeah.
So I got to say I've learned two things already in my first fantasy fishing pick.
Uh-oh.
One, I went first so that all you guys at the end can
We
take picks, and then Adam's at the end, and he's taking all of our advice.
no.
Now you know how Adam does.
He is the one who said that he didn't have his picks set when he began.
Oh my. Okay. We why don't
And
we
he's
just
telling
switch
people
into
how.
order? That's great. Boomer, you've never played fantasy fishing. Why would I go off of your advice?
True story. That's a true story. I'll tell you this one thing,
Feisty.
Deacon. You know, Brian Schmidt, sorry, is what we call a 0%er. And in this scenario, if he finds them in the grass, he will leave 0% uncaught. He's that kind of guy.
0%er. I dig that.
Yeah.
That's
There's
my
not-
pick.
You don't fish
Right.
behind him. If that dude's got a swim jig in the grass, go somewhere else.
You pull up
He's-
Brian Smith over there, you're like, yeah, I'm good. See you later.
Yep. See you. Peace.
It's like
Yep.
Jason Christie. Yep, nope, I ain't catching bass behind him.
Nope.
Nope. All right. So, Deacon, you said you're going with Brian Schmidt?
I am. Yes.
All right. That leads us to Group B. Boomer.
Sorry, I'm behind. I'm trying to figure out a way to get it at the end of all your guys' picks. Like, say I gotta go to the bathroom or something.
We
I
can
picked.
switch orders. I don't care. It doesn't
I'm
bother
just
me.
kidding.
You can go
I'm
last.
just kidding.
We'll take it easy
All
on
right.
the Rick.
I wouldn't change my picks. I picked Hallman.
Oh, I like that.
Ooh.
I like that pick a lot.
Yeah. The one thing if you guys ever noticed at the first tournament, the rookies come out swinging, but he's won in Florida before.
There's one
Big
there.
stick guy. You know what I mean? He doesn't get hung up on any of the excitement. I think he did in the opens there towards the end, but I think it was more about he just didn't want to endure another year. But I think that dude is right as rain, solid.
It's gonna be pretty interesting to see how he does this year because for folks who may not know, he was on the Elite Series formerly. So this is him making his reintroduction to the Elite Series revenge tour, getting back to show he belongs. I'm pulling for him. Holman's a great dude. I think it could set up pretty good for him.
Yeah.
I like that pick a lot. Brennan?
Yeah, Hallman was on my radar as well. I did kind of go with a layup here, or what I believe to be a layup in Greg Hackney. Great history in Florida. I will say I've heard he's got some experience on Okeechobee in some high water states. I think that's great knowledge to have, being that the lake is like 4 feet high or so right now. And from what I understand, he's got experience on the water at that water level. I got to believe that's some sort of an advantage. And he's just a wizard around grass and with a flipping stick in his hand. So going Greg Hackney.
Andy?
It's a great pick. Same. I can't bet against Hackney when there's big fish in grass in a flipping stick.
He also just starts so hot too every season. Like he
yeah.
just starts super hot.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
kind of just I really don't know what to say now because I'm also picking Greg Hackney. So I don't really know what to say that you guys haven't said. So I'm just going to lay it out that I'm going with Hackney, and Deacon, just round us up then.
Yeah, I mean, I had a smidgen of Hallman just because he won here in 2016, right? Punching. And I mean, I think that he is stout and will do very well. But I'm playing the numbers game on this one, and I'm going Hackney.
Oh my gosh, we all have the same picks.
Another good one I think would have been J Pow too. Jacob Porosnik I think was stout, and then I think Hallman was a great choice. So
this right here is a sneaky pick too, of Clifford Perch. You talk about a guy that's good around big fish.
For sure,
that dude's a hammer around big fish. He might be a Southwesterner, but that man can punch.
Hey, can I say who won the Alpha Angler sweatshirt?
Yeah.
This Jim Johnson dude is cracking me up.
Andy
ain't wrong. He drops more fish than Verizon does calls.
Wait, where?
Yeah, that was a good one.
Where was this?
What is that?
Oh, dude, he's had 3 or 4 of them. I already wrote him down like 20 minutes ago. The dude's hilarious. Dude, you're the winner.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Jim, get in touch with us, dude. Jim is a avid live stream.
He tunes in all the time. Thanks for the support.
So, Boomer, being that you're new to the show, Jim Johnson is on here on every single show. And there was a running joke. We'll see if it's test true for this year. But last year, whoever Jim picks sucks that event. It's just tried and true.
And he throws them all too in the comments. He tells who he's picking. And it's like, oh, great. Like, I got to change my pick because he's taking them. Like,
yeah, we will change our picks if it's the same as Jim's. That tells you anything.
The one I wrote down that cracked me up the first was my bucket E victim is Mike Iaconelli.
Yep, that's what we're referring to.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
I love it.
Yeah. Well, Jim, get in touch with us. We'll get your stuff over to Boomer, and he'll send you an Alpha Angler hoodie. Send over your size as well. Heck yeah. Awesome. All right. Who are we? Oh, we were getting into Group A, right? We finished Group B?
Yeah.
Am I correct in that? Okay. All right. Group A. Boomer.
Yeah, this is dumb too. This is like a smorgasbord of Florida hammers. You could throw a dart at it, but I like Drew Cook. Not a lot of talk there. That was weird.
No, any reason why Drew Cook?
I think it's career based with a lot of these guys. Like Cox is kind of like he might be at the top, but he's amazing. But Cook is I think Cook is hungry. And then after that win last year on I think it was Santee, and then I've kind of been following some of his social stuff. I think the dude he's like at that bottom curve, like Polinick was at when he popped his first one, and then after that, I feel like this one's he's a local. He's not a local, but
local-ish.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
He's good friends with Benton, who Benton's, he made it into the FLW tour with a win on Okeechobee years ago. That's how he started. They share information. Yeah. I'm a Cook fan.
Okay. Well, really fast before we get to Brennan's pick, Boomer just selected the winner for his Alpha Angler hoodie. We still have Hobie shades a Do It Molds hat, and a Business from the Bass Boat hoodie up for grabs. So keep those questions coming. Keep the comments coming. You guys are killing it tonight with some of the comments. But Brennan, take it away.
Yeah, this one was tough. I was torn between Drew Benton and Brandon Luster. Drew Benton, I believe, has a W here. Lot of experience on Okeechobee. I think this event sets up incredibly well for him, but I am going to go Brandon Lester. Brandon Lester, if you look at his Bassmaster stats, he has not, I mean, out of like 10 events, he hasn't had an event worse than 35th, and most of his finishes are within the top 10. So it's just super hard to get away from Brandon Lester. I think he finished second in AOI last year. Maybe he's got a little chip on his shoulder heading into the beginning of this season.
He won the Kissimmee Open last year.
Yep.
This time of year.
Exactly. The dude's just on fire in Florida, so I'm not going to bet against him. I'm taking Brandon Lester.
He's fishing real good.
Heck yeah.
I think I'm gonna. Can I change after listening to Brendan? Can I change mine? Damn it.
Well, we know Adam's going to, so you must.
Got him.
I hope
Got him, dude.
somebody that no one is picking. I don't think.
Oh my gosh. That's good. Andy?
Well, I'm going north. I'm taking Chris Johnston. Him and Corey have both done really well at Okeechobee. I think Gussie has even done really well at Okeechobee when they're on the FLW tour. There's something about Canadians and grass fisheries, and they just jive. I know where Chris and Corey are from, north of us here, like Buffalo. They live on a chain of lakes that's just filled with grass, and it fishes very similar to Florida. So I am taking Chris Johnston.
I like that pick.
Mm-hmm.
Corey did well on the Harris chain down here for the
All three of them did.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Remember those shared information? Sorry for interrupting, but remember that it was the FLW. It was the coolest FLW, but all three of them figured out that stinking grass bite and crushed them.
Oh, I think Bailey's talking about the Toyota series.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Sorry.
2 weeks ago. Yeah. No, who? Gotcha. Wait, who's the third one? Corey and Chris, and who else?
They were traveling with Gussie. Yeah.
Oh, Gussie
smashed him on the Harris chain on an opener. Yeah.
Gotcha. Awesome. Okay. Part of me really wants to, Boomer, you were talking about rookies and how they show out in their first event. And on this trend of Canada, I really, really wanted to pick Cooper Gallant. But, I mean, also looking at Brendan's theory of 30%ers and up, and I don't know how people aren't picking John Cox to win this.
No one has
John Cox, and it's Florida. I mean, I'm not going to – I have way more confidence in a John Cox in Florida, especially this time of year. I'm going with John Cox.
He's going to have two rods on deck, a black and blue Senko and probably like a June bug one because it's Florida.
It's a Berkeley General. Get it right.
Yeah, sorry. Berkeley General. Sorry. Whatever. Stick bait.
No, you're right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Deacon?
Man, so I am picking somebody that no one has picked, so that's great. I've got Corey Johnston instead of Chris. I think that it's Corey's time. I think that he started the season off great, just in a Toyota series. Finished top 5, I think, at that Toyota series that was on, I don't know, somewhere Harris chain, right? And so I think that he finished higher than Chris did too in the Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit, or at the time the FLW Tour event here in 2018. And I think that this bucket is loaded, but that's my pick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really like this comment too from Japes Fishing. Corey gets that blue one right off the hop.
And that was going to be my Business from the Bass Boat hoodie giveaway. Just FYI.
Oh, word.
I saw the
perfect
blue right off the top. Get
awesome.
That blue trophy.
Hey, can I give my hat away? I got some guy's name written down here.
Oh, we're going to give 2. All right, deal.
Yeah,
Japes,
can we go back to back?
Let's do it.
We can do back to back. Japes Fishing, get in touch with us. You got yourself a Business from the Bass Boat hoodie. Send us your address and size sweatshirt. We'll get that sent out to you. And Brennan.
All right. My guy's name is Brian Nikuin, and he made a comment at the very beginning that we started off like an AA meeting, and I thought that was funny. So you get a free hat.
Let me go find
and you weren't wrong.
That's true.
That does sound like a podcast does sound like a start to an AA meeting for the
Yeah,
most part.
I think I even put it on the screen right off the hop. I was like, "This is
Yeah, there you
hilarious."
go.
Yep.
Yeah.
There you go.
I love
That'll
it.
get a hat every time.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Oh, that's incredible. Well, Brian, if you're still around, hit us up and get your address, get you a Do It Mold hat sent your way. Bravo in the comments. All right, so to round out the fantasy fishing portion, Boomer, what do you think total weight wise for the event? What's it going to take?
I put 84 pounds, 3 ounces.
Brendan?
I went 89.9. I will say Wes's news really scared me, but at the end of the day, these are some of the best fishermen in the world. They're going to catch what lives there relative to the size based on the time of the year. And as long as the conditions hold up, I think 89.9 is attainable.
Yeah, I like that. I did leave my weight up here on the screen. I went with very, 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 very close to what you had with 89.12.
That's just a little bit too much, but that's pretty close.
I'll take the over. I'll take the over. Don't you worry. Andy?
It's funny. 87.13.
Okay. Deke?
Close.
So we're all in the same general vicinity.
I'm right there with you guys. I'm at 88.9.
Oh, dang. All right. Well, so we're all, except for Boomer
Yeah,
down there.
it's going to be like 70
downer.
pounds. It's going to be like, I told you, you idiots.
Yeah. Hey, great question here for Mr. Haig. Something that's really cool. A lot of, honestly, news around this year, but Boomer's giving us the crotch shot before he left. Larry Nixon back on the Elite Series.
Dude,
Legend
yeah.
exemption. How do we think he's going to do on his return to the Elites?
Well, I think so. Who just did well in the Invitationals event? That was an older guy. Was it Paul?
Paul Elias? He did well.
Yeah, I think it was Paul Elias, but just slowed down, man, and just cracked him. And I could totally see the same kind of situation with someone with some history. Spent a lot of time in Florida over the years.
I would love to see Nixon to come back as, taking the Legends exemption. People, honestly, if you're a Bassmaster rookie, whether last year or this year, it's got to be kind of cool when you go into the season you're launching and there's Rick Clunn, Larry Nixon, you got legends of the sport currently like Hackney, BP. Like, it's got to be pretty interesting being, especially like when you were just a regional angler a couple of years ago. Now you're on the Elite Series and you're fishing against Larry Nixon. It's like if it's your area and Larry Nixon pulls up, you just say yes, sir, and you just leave. Like, this is yours. Oh man! But excited to see him back on the trail. And we'll save this for the end. But we're gonna go and do Drain the Lake here. Let me get that all set up here for a talk through this. I'm gonna leave my picks on here because there's too many picks to have to go through here.
Gosh.
Yeah,
actually, it's only one list, so there's really no buckets to go through. But let me get the screen up.
this will be my first year doing Drain the Lake. So
Yeah, same here.
you can't pick the same angler throughout the year, or can you?
No.
Yeah.
That's right.
So to lay that out for people that are as well as same as us doing Drain the Lake for the first time, Drain the Lake is you can pick, I believe it's 8 anglers. Is that correct? 8 anglers.
8.
And once you pick them for an event, you can't use them again for the rest of the season. So you have to be very strategic. And when you pick certain anglers, you have to sacrifice some. Like if you like Chris Johnson for Okeechobee, he could go and win it. But also the smallmouth herbs, you can't count the Johnsons out as well. Do you save them for the end of the season? So it's kind of a cool little strategy that goes into it.
And there's always a couple of leftover anglers, correct? Just being that there's 100 and what?
Yep, there's leftovers for sure.
Yeah. Without a doubt. Enough for Boomer to leave all his rookies off.
I just can't stand this. You guys didn't hear me go to the bathroom, did you?
Oh, yeah, we did. Yeah.
Was it like Ace Ventura, that old movie where the guy has the mic on? He's in the bathroom.
Yep, that's all we heard.
I had that fear.
We heard all the grunts and everything.
Right.
All right.
I had to train the dog, okay, guys?
I love it. All right, so let's put this up here. And we'll make these relatively quick because we did go through our strategy for fantasy fishing, so we're not going to emphasize too much on 8 new anglers for the event each. But I'll fire off my picks here, similar to what I had for Group A. I have John Cox. I went with Kobe Krieger, Scott Martin, Mark Menendez, Cliff Prince, Bernie Schultz, David Mullins, and Clifford Perch. So kind of went heavy Florida bias for this one, but threw in a little curveball with Menendez and Mullins for this one. What do you guys have? Well, we'll start with Deacon. Who do you got for Drain the Lake?
I'm like going through them right now. I've got 5 so far.
You got 5? All right. So who has 8?
He does.
I got 8. I'll go with it.
He does, dude.
Yeah. So proof that he's going. Yep. So I have Cox, Martin, Krieger, Hackney, Bill Lowen, Cliff Prince, Hudnall, and Bernie Schultz for my Drain the Lake team.
I like the Bill Lowen pick.
Just catches them everywhere he goes for whatever reason. So,
Brendan?
I'm going Scotty Mart. I'm going Scott Canterbury. He didn't get a lot of attention in our conversation earlier, but he's got a lot of experience here. Jason Williamson, another kind of sleeper. Brandon Luster, John Cox, Cliff Prince, Colby Krieger, Greg Hackney.
I like it. Boomer?
I got Mike Huff, Daryl Gleason, just because I have because I was getting him out of there. Otten, because he's a fan of mine. Benton, because I didn't pick him in Group A, and he is a Florida hammer. I hate not being able to use him later, though. This is a goofy one. Chad Pipkins, I know he pre-practiced down there. Guys got to do. And then David Gaston is another rookie, and that rookie thing's big.
He's a NPFL guy, right?
Gaston was an NPFL guy, yeah. That little side note, NPFL through the Opens, the 9 guys that qualified this year, 4 of them came from the NPFL.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So, yeah, a lot of guys use the NPFL as kind of that way to learn or stepping stone or whatever. My last one is Brian New. He won last year in his first year. I hate not being able to use him later because he's such a phenom.
Yeah.
He's going to have 40 rods on deck.
I know.
It's going to be fun
He's
to
just
watch.
like he's a thrift monster. But the thing about this Drain the Lake that is weird to me, and I've never done it before, but is you look at these guys and you're like, dude, I can't not use him later on down the road. You know what I mean?
It's the hardest part.
Especially with Seminole coming up, all these Florida guys, like a lot of this stuff, it's different, but a lot of it does translate to Seminole. Yeah. And you definitely don't want to burn up all the Florida hammers coming out of Okeechobee.
Yeah, one that we didn't talk about tonight too that'll be interesting is Buddy Gross, who won on the Harris Chain last year, who's one I'm saving for the rest of this year as well. But, Deacon, did you get your 8 or did you need us to go through ours again?
Should
I'll
take
take one from each of you. You guys decide which one. I like to keep it close. No, so I've got Scott Martin, Greg Hackney, Scott Canterbury, Bernie Schultz, Bradley Hallman, Bryant Smith. Bryant Smith, Stephen Kennedy, and then Ryan New.
So basically, you took from all of our picks. Is that what that sounds like?
Guys, this is Drain the Lake. You're going to choose like Florida guys, and then you're like, okay, I don't know.
Dude, we'll split the trip with Zona since you're borrowing all of our data. When you win, we'll just split it. We just formed some superhuman fantasy fishing team right now.
It's a timeshare. We all get like 3 hours each.
Right.
Yeah.
Or we
The
crash.
Serious Angler think tank.
That's right.
There you go.
Right.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, man.
All right, so that was Drain the Lake. Obviously, there might be some more emphasis into some of the picks as we go out through the year, depending on what lake they're at. But Florida, all bets are off, so that's why we kind of kept it short and brief. But I think to wrap up the show, fellas, we still do have some Hobie shades
Trying to find
available.
one that I like.
So, guys, keep firing off those questions. We're going to wrap this thing up here in a second, especially with this question. This one's going to be juicy. We're going to go around the horn here. And I want to get your predictions on who will be Angler of the Year and Rookie of the Year.
Ooh.
Brennan, kick us off, buddy.
All right. So AOI, I'm torn. I think it's going to either be Lester or Brian New. I'm gonna go Brandon Lester though. I just think the season sets up super well for a lot of these southern guys. Like our northern lakes that we have this year are more power fishing northern lakes. It's not nearly as finessey as we've seen in the past. So I think some of these southern boys are going to have a real good shot at it. I think Brandon Lester has an honest chance. So going Brandon Lester and then go right into rookie too.
Go right into it.
Joey Cifuentes.
Ooh.
Oh,
Cowboy
that's
hat.
a good one.
Yep.
That's a good one.
Yep.
That's a
that
freaking
one.
good one.
Wow.
That's baller. Okay. Boomer.
So I don't want any crap from you guys either, but I have to pick
I'm
Polinick.
going to start with
Oh,
this.
yeah, I know it. But hey, there's the chance, right? Like, I'm his friend. So let's just say that I don't like him. All right. I think he's kind of a punk. But he's got this trend in his career going that he could be the next Van Dam. You know what I mean? Like, he just does. And I'm going to give you an example of why I had to pick him. So we were in our photo shoot last week, and we're up on the beach. We're making a ton of racket. We got cameras out. There's no reason a bass would even want to be around us. And he goes, "Hey, have you seen this new buzz bait from blah, blah, blah?" And I'm not kidding. Like, literally throws it 20 feet from the boat to show us the sound it makes and catches one. And like Burge was like, "Oh my God." And I'm like, "Yeah, this is what people have to deal with this guy." When that happened, I knew I had to pick him again. He's got to be the guy that can do two, right?
Yeah.
I told him that when that horseshoe comes out, it's going to bleed some. That's what I told him.
Oh my God.
Oh, it's so good.
He can still in there. You know what I mean? Like,
It's way up in there at this point.
oh yeah, I have it. It's on camera. Me telling him that, and I'm putting it in the media event video because I couldn't believe it. Like even Zach was like, "Are you freaking kidding me? This is what we're fishing against." Homeboy just wheeled. He had just as much chance throwing it into the grass next to where we were parked. He's still gonna catch one. You know what I mean? It was crazy. So I got this feeling like if there's the next Van Dam, and he might be it. So, anyways, I got to pick him because he could go back to back. He's in a good place with the little girl at home, and that's I know how that is.
I can get behind that.
Yeah, and then rookie, I got to pick Sukup.
Yeah. Solid.
Yeah,
He's one that could be good. I know Okeechobee too. He's just like a dark horse. I feel like regardless of where you go.
it's hard to not pick him over Bryant because I love them both. I think it'll be 1 and 2 between the two of them. Joey is an amazing pick, though, Brennan. Like I love that guy. But I just think Sukup is like, I think he was beyond. Like he won every nation deal he did in Oklahoma for 6 years in a row. Like he's traveled a lot. I feel like he's kind of got that in him. We'll see if he gets it.
Heck yeah. Andy?
Like it.
Oh, I'm torn. Can I come back? I don't know who I want to pick.
You guys have to give him crap. You can't just do this to me.
Nah, we're biased. he's the Chiefs. We don't call penalties on him.
Sorry, Deacon.
I'll go and I will say that I think it's been talked about the past couple seasons, and he's made it up until the smallmouth fisheries, and I'm going with John Cox this year, and he's gonna last all the way up through Champlain. He's not gonna make that run down to Ty where he's not had great events in the past when he run down to Ty, and he's going to last on the St. Lawrence River when doing well in that event shallow like a badass.
St. Lawrence River. What are you talking about?
It ends on St. Lawrence River.
Oh, buddy.
We go St. Clair and then okay. Yeah. I'm with you.
Okay. I was like,
right.
I don't think I slipped up on the schedule there. But yeah, he's gonna round it out and he's gonna last. So I'm gonna go John Cox for Angler of the Year. Rookie of the Year. I'm going up to the Great White North of Mr. Cooper Gallant.
You took mine.
Me too.
He took it.
The kid's just like he's super confident. I love that about him. Just like regardless of where he goes, he can bring you look at the Johnstons, and that's who he's riding with. That's who he's learning from. I think he's very successful in regards to where. I mean, you've seen on the opens, he's not afraid to compete against. He doesn't care who you are. He's going to compete. He likes to find a bite that works for him, and I think that's something strong, especially a guy that has seen a glimpse of the big stage. So I don't think it's going to scare him too much going into his rookie season. But
he finished second on the opens last year, right? And that's brutal. All night.
1-1.
Yeah.
I got some feel good info for you, Bailey. I know for a fact that Cox is running forward facing imaging this year.
Oh, never mind. I don't want to pick him for AOY then.
And the rumor I heard from a couple of the insider guys is that if he had it at OI, he probably would have beat Brandon.
Really?
Yeah. So
Okay. Well, here's the question though. He would be good grief. What was that? Because he has forward facing. I mean, does he know how to use it?
is it
I mean, is he
hard?
wacky rigging up shallow in 3 foot of water with forward facing?
I'm sure he's
Well-
spent some time in the off season with some guys.
But I mean, like, how much off season does he need? He fishes what, like 30 tournaments a year? Like, even if he struggles the first month and a half, you know what I mean? Like, he's gonna get a.
It's not hard
like a wave.
in
Yeah.
the North Country, especially, right? Like,
Yeah.
you can see
It's
him.
gonna be weird watching John looking down at his graph. I don't think I've ever seen him look at his graph before.
Not going to be.
Well,
And I could be wrong. He could be ripping it off right now after his practice. You know what I mean? Like, guard the wires out of the boat.
Transducers, right? I mean, like he was like, I'm not running anything. Like on the year, he's like, I didn't want to do something I wasn't comfortable doing. So I don't know.
Yeah, losing AOY makes you pretty uncomfortable, I think.
That's valid.
Yeah. Deacon, what do you got?
Man, I think my rookie was easy with Coop Gallant. I think that guy's a hammer. It'll be really cool to watch him. AOY, I just started looking at the past years, right? And who's been really close and who kind of deserves one kind of a thing. And dude, you look at like both the Johnstons have been very close many times. A lot of Northern at the end of this season. And then same with Patrick Walters, man. 2020, he finished third. 2021, he finished fourth. 2022, he finished fifth. So I'm gonna go with that one. I mean, there's a bunch that are really always right there, but I'm going Patty Walters.
Dang. Okay. He was on a hot streak after he won that Fork event, but I feel like it was a full season, and then this past year, like he kind of almost quieted down a little bit.
You say that, but dude, he finished. I mean, on the Elite Series, he finished fifth in AOY.
Oh, did you? I mean, see, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, like that's doing it.
I feel like he did like maybe just kind of fade off from like camera attention.
Like
you know what I
maybe
mean?
top tens.
Yeah, he was like
Yeah.
just outside
Like-
the camera. Yeah.
Right. Like I wouldn't have guessed that he finished fifth AOI, honestly. So, but again, dude,
I'm not surprised.
coverage. Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny how that is, though? Like, he's not a favorite anymore because he didn't get the camera time. But, like,
Perception
in
is
the
real.
MPFL, in the MPFL, he got all the camera time. He won one. So,
True?
yeah.
It's kind of like Drew Benton. Drew Benton's always been around the top 10 for AOI as well.
Brandon Lester finished second last year.
Lester had a
top 10.
really good year last year, though.
Yeah.
I could see Lester's, I think, really starting to show his true colors. Like, he's always been that way. He's just really finding a groove.
Yeah.
'Cause, like,
David
he's-
Mullins is another one that's been right there. Austin Felix has been pretty consistent.
Yeah, what was it, 2 years ago? Or was it? It wasn't last
The
no,
Johnston-
2 years
both
ago,
the
right, with Mullins?
I've been very close.
Yeah, Mullins had a really solid run, I think, 2 years ago.
Yeah, he finished in 2020. He finished second. AOI.
And I think they're at Champlain this year, aren't they?
Yep.
Yeah, and they were at Champlain in 2020 as well, weren't they? That's when Polinick won, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Smallmouth.
Yep. David Mullins, I think, had a great event there too.
He had a really good shot to win.
Write
it.
that down,
Some
Adam.
fish. Yeah.
I'm just messing with you, man.
Deacon Bennett. We have our feud for the year.
Yeah, dude. Oh,
I love it.
All right, Andy. Round us out.
Rookie of the year is Coop Gallant, and then my AOY is going to be Jason Christie. Lay
Wow.
Lake, Seminole, Sabine River, St. Clair. He'll have a shot to win all of those.
It's true. Yeah.
That'd be
Like,
interesting.
The only reason, like, everybody thinks he's a smallmouth genius, but you realize that when he won those St. Clair tournaments, it's because he had Panoptics before everybody else, right?
Yeah, and he was cracking him on a tube with 20-pound test and a flipping.
He was
stick.
looking at him and throwing right at him. And the rest of us were like, what's forward-facing imaging?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We gotta go. Steve Kennedy for AOI. It's his Bailey tribute season.
That is
We
great.
need something to give
Dude,
away.
I
We
think
just-
Kevin also had another comment in here about he was surprised you didn't take Taku. And that's what I was trying to find, because that was going to be my Hobie eyewear winner, was the fact that Kevin was kind of picking on you for your abundance of picking the same people.
That's
Hey,
true.
that's fine. That's fine.
Find somebody who works for him.
That's right.
And most of the time they don't work, but it is what it is.
So, yeah, Kevin.
Hey,
Kevin's the winner.
it worked for fantasy last year. It's
It
not the
did.
way we scored it. I like it. Kevin, congrats, dude. We got some Hobie eyewear shades headed your way. Get in touch, and we'll get your address and all that jazz, and we'll send it your direction. But boys, I think so. We're about to wrap it up, but there's one thing that I don't want to ignore tonight. That I don't know if you guys saw it, but KVD officially retired today. His last season is 2023. He made sure it's known that he's not leaving the industry. He's not going to ghost everyone in bass fishing. He's still going to be very relevant and active in the future of bass fishing. But it's an end of an era when it comes to tournament fishing, because KVD is taking a step back. But
I wonder if he pulls the Tom Brady and comes back. All the greats tend to do it. All right, Brett Favre, Tom Brady.
Miss it.
Like,
Does anybody want to put some money on it?
Oh,
I
like
where does he come back to, though? Where does he come back?
Definitely Bass if he comes back. I don't think he will come back, but if he comes back, I will put money on the fact that he goes to Bass.
Yeah, it won't be next year, but I could see it being in like 3 or 4 years when he's like, you know what? I missed the tournament fishing. I need to go back. Because he's still got plenty of time.
So you know that every one of those guys that has an AOY or a classic win is allowed a Legends exemption, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
So what does he have? Like 48 of them? Classic wins, AOYs.
Yeah.
So he could like get home, garden for a few months, be like, I'm a professional angler. I'll use one of my 48 Legends exemptions and bop into bass.
Bumps into his buddies. Do you want a Legend exemption? I got one for you. Here you go.
Yeah. If he could sell them.
Auction them off. I could see him going back to bass, but not fishing. I could see him doing like, if Zona decides to leave or Davey, I could see him.
Oh, he'd be
commentating for sure.
Yeah. Top line commentator,
Tony Romo style.
Exactly.
Hopefully,
I feel like Tony
Romo
Romo
2022
with that than he ever did playing football, man. Like he's in commercials and all kinds of stuff. You know?
Well, hopefully he doesn't decline like Tony Romo did with his commentating. He was horrible this year.
Yeah, money's money.
That's right. Touche.
I think he's I think he's the Michael Jordan. Like, I think if he doesn't fish, it's because he's trying to be a pro golfer. I think he's the kind of guy that would race you to throw this trash away at McDonald's. Like, if you were on your way to the garbage can, he would like race you to push the thing in and be like, faster than you. You know what I mean? I don't think he goes away from the sport. I don't think it's possible.
I can see it. I mean, he's still got the fire in him. He's still, you know, on specific events. I mean, Chickamauga 2 years ago, like he's still got it in him. I don't know. It'll be interesting. I believe. I would think the reason he's leaving is probably because his kids are at that age where it's some pretty important life events. Probably doesn't want to miss those, I would think.
Yeah.
But then again, who knows? But either way, if it is official that he's done tournament fishing, congrats to the GOAT, the greatest of all time. And hopefully, I'm excited to see what his next chapter would be in the fishing industry. And hopefully he's doesn't become a stranger to the tournament scene. For sure. But fellas, any last regards to the Lake Okeechobee event this year? Or
Good luck
this year,
to
this weekend.
all of those who are competing in fantasy fishing this year. And also, if you haven't yet, I would say hop in on the Serious Dangler? Is that what it is, Bailey? Like the big group that we have?
That's just Serious Angler Podcast.
Serious Angler
That's
Podcast.
it, yeah.
Yep, Serious Angler Podcast. Link is down below in the show notes, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on MP3. If you are playing fantasy fishing, want to hop in the group and win some prizes at the end of the year for how well you do in the group, feel free to join in. It's free to join. But beyond that, yeah, fellas. And Boomer, Brennan, first fantasy fishing episode. Welcome to the squad. Any comments before we cap this thing off?
Hopefully Scott leaves the Trocars at home and Just together a monster bag 4 days in a row, and
True.
we win this sucker. So go Scotty.
Boomer's like, I don't want to be around any of it.
Yeah, Boomer's like, I'm out.
Oh, I just
I
love
work
those
for a hook
cities.
distributor, by the way, so I gotta be. I shouldn't say that.
Right. I was gonna say, of all people here who knows hooks,
Yeah.
someone that knows hooks.
I'm here
Like
on
we're
my own
bashing
behalf.
one of
These
the-
are my opinions. Okay?
They're like bashing one of the biggest product companies in the industry, Eagle Claw. No, it's super fun. Thank you guys for including the rookie. And at the end of the year, when I'm all run across the road, beat down, you guys can be like, "We told you, a bunch of rookies."
We'll wait when the
He's gonna smoke them. He's gonna absolutely torch us, and we're gonna be like, all right.
Who invited this guy?
yeah. We're like, yeah,
Yeah.
sorry, Boomer, we're not getting you back next year. We need a chance.
Yeah.
But
I
for
hope
real,
so.
heck yeah, man. For people that are tuning in, if you haven't checked out Alpha Angler Rods, you definitely need to. Boomer has a great lineup of stuff going over there, especially with some new team members this year. With Sokup was in the spring, correct? He was like late, like mid-ish year.
No, we got him early last year.
I was early last year. I don't know why I thought it was like mid-season, but then you got Burge this year, adding to the team. Alpha's growing. It's nice to see. And then of course, check out our friends over at Do It Molds. We stole Brennan for the show, and just don't buy victory hooks either.
Yeah. All hooks are bad. Don't even use hooks anymore. All
Don't
hooks
even
are bad.
use those.
All hooks are bad.
Yeah,
Only trebles,
all bad.
trebles and weights. That's all you need. All right. Well, I think that is going to cap it up
Before we
get
get
ourselves
canceled, we ought to close this one down.
Getting out of hand now. Good night.
Folks, appreciate y'all. We'll see you on the next one.